Let's write the code for this one above. So vector, not vector, just a void generate set. Generate set will take, oh my bad, I shouldn't have made it vector of vector, it's just vector. And I'm going to pass it by reference, and I'm going to pass this one as reference as well. Since I'm passing it as reference, I'm going to do a backtracking. Okay, जहाँ पे भी आपको reference से pass करना है, आप you can use backtracking. So now you have set so far, and you have vector int vec. This is the original set. I'm going to make it constant because I'm not using it, and I'm not obviously updating it. And I'm going to do an int index. Correct. Now let's start. Now if index is greater than equals to vec dot size, what does that mean? That means I have already covered all the elements. If I have covered all the elements, what will I do? I'll do result dot push back. What? Result dot push back set so far, and I'll do return. Okay, that sounds cool. Awesome. Here again the same thing. What? The recursion. What are the recursion? I can add an element or I can remove an element. Let's add an element. Set so far dot pushback. Pushback what? Pushback vec I. So every element has option whether it wants to be included or not included. Correct? So let's say I include this. So if I have include this, so I'll do set so far dot pop back. This is the backtracking step which I was talking to you guys about. Okay, so here what will happen? You do a generate set. In the generate set, you pass in the result, you pass in the set so far, you pass in the vector, you pass in the index code, index plus 1, because you have already inserted one element. Otherwise, now this time the set so far does not contain this vec of index, correct? So I'm just going to, this one is not including the current element. So it's going to be generate set. In fact, why am I even writing it? I'll just copy it from here and paste it here. Okay. I can probably remove this, not required. Okay. So this, my friend, was the code. Very simple, very easy. It follows the same routine as we do. Okay, Ji. Seems like we are on good pace. So we have covered this question as well. Okay, so we have covered power set as well. I shouldn't have deleted that. Let's jump to the next question. We are going to discuss two questions now. I'll solve one, I'll not solve one. The next one will, I mean, if I solve one, you will have to solve the second one. Okay. So in fact, what I should do is I should probably find an image of Sudoku. So there is, the problem is already there. It takes a character as input, no worries. So for those who have not touched the newspaper in the house since their birth, let me tell you what Sudoku is. Sudoku is basically a game in which you have to fill the value in these empty cells, but there's a good condition. The condition is that when you're filling the row or when you're filling the column or when you're filling the box, you have to make sure that you use the number 1 to 9 only. First condition. Second condition, it should not be redundant. What does that mean? Not be redundant? It means if I have used 5 here, I cannot use 5 in this whole row again. I cannot use 5 in this whole column again because 5 is already in this column. So the elements in this column currently are 5, 3, and 7. So the only option left with me is 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, these are the only elements I can fill. I cannot fill 5, 3, and 7 again. Similarly, if you look at this particular column, the first column, I have already used 5, 6, 8, 4, 7. Isn't that right? So the only elements left for me to use is 1, 2, and 3, correct? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, and 9 also. So these 5 elements, 9 I do not have it here. So these 5 elements are already in use. I can only use these 4. Isn't that right? Similarly, if you look at this particular box, I have used 5, 3, 6, 9, 8. That means the elements which are left to me are 1, 2, 4, 7. So these are the only elements I can fill in these particular empty values. I have to fill the whole cell, this whole 2D matrix, and I have to make sure, my friends, that none of the value gets repeated, and these conditions are always valid. So this, my friends, is a Sudoku. Now there comes 2 problems with the Sudoku. Okay, so I have 2 problems. First one is to check whether a solution exists for the Sudoku or not. In other words, you have to check whether this given Sudoku is a valid Sudoku or not. A Sudoku is valid only if it has a unique solution, right? This is the first question. And the second question is, if the solution exists, what is the solution? That means you have to solve the Sudoku and find all the empty values. Isn't that right? Also, you can check whether this particular Sudoku is valid by what? For example, this is the Sudoku which is given to me, rest the other values are empty. How will I check whether this Sudoku is a valid Sudoku or not? One thing to do is you figure out whether the conditions which we talked about, redundancy in row, redundancy in column, and redundancy in box, is valid. So redundancy in row, in column, and in box, this condition is met for all the rows, all the columns, and all the boxes, right? So you have to do all the 9 rows, all the 9 columns, and all the 9 boxes. And this will give you an idea whether this condition is met or not. Clear? Either you can do that, either you can do that. I mean, obviously, this is the case. This is the first question is valid. It's also on lead code. It's also on lead code. Valid Sudoku. Okay. Both of them are okay. So this, I don't know why they gave it a hard one. It's not hard. It's not hard. Both of them are actually medium level problem. Okay. You just have to figure out whether this particular Sudoku, which is given to you like that, is it a valid Sudoku or not? As simple as that. So this is the first problem. And the second problem is you're given a Sudoku and you have to solve the Sudoku, right? So you're given the Sudoku and you have to fill in the values and you have to return. I mean, because it's passed by reference, you just update the existing board and return it back, correct? Okay, अपन लोग Sudoku solver करते हैं, ठीक है? तो पहले वाले जैसा simple ही है. It's not out of the world kind of question, ठीक है? चलो, let's see what we can do. तो अगर मुझे Sudoku fill करना है, if I want to fill the Sudoku, what will be the first step which I'll do? I mean, as a person, what is the first step which you will take? Yes, find an empty box. Let's say I find this particular cell. I'm looking and looking and looking. I'm doing a for loop, 4 into 4 loop. It's basically n square loop. And in the n square loop, I find that, hey, this cell is unfilled. So I have to fill this cell, right? Because I want to fill all the cells and my program is doing it for me. So I'll just come to this one. Okay. Now you try to say that, hey, can I fill 1 here? If I fill 1, will it end up affecting anyone? Is it affecting anyone right now? If I fill 1, let's say I fill 1. So 1 is not in row, 1 is not in column, and 1 is not in the box. So hey, 1 is a good approach. Then I go to the next cell, next empty cell. So this cell, can I fill 1? No, because 1 is already there. Can I fill 2? Yes, because 2 is not in row, 2 is not in column, and 2 is not in the block. So I fill 2. Then I fill 3. Can I fill 3? Can I fill 1? No. 2? No. 3? No, because 3 is there in column. 3 is here. Can I fill 3? No. Can I fill 4? I think yes, you can. Why? Because 4 is not in the row, 4 is not in the column, 4 is not in the cell, in the box. Then comes the next one. Obviously 1, 2, 3, 4 are exhausted. Can I fill 5? No. Can I fill 6? Yeah, because 6 is not in the row. Oh, 6 is, I cannot fill 6 because it's there. So 7, should I fill 7? 7 is also there. Can I fill 8? Yeah, I can fill 8. I can fill 8 because 8's not there in row, not in column, and not in box. Then 8. Can I fill 9 here? Yes, I can fill 9 because 6, 7, 8 is there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rest of the other things are there. What is the element which is left for this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is everything is there, but 6 is not there. Can I fill 6? No, I cannot, because it violated the row, it violated this column, and it also violated this box. So I'll go back. I'll try to fill another value. Apart from 9, can I fill anything else? No, I'll go back again. From 8, let's try to fill some other value. Can I fill any other value? No, not at the moment. So I'll keep on going back and send this value. I mean, maybe I'll come back here on the first cell and say, hey, 1 did not work out. 1 was definitely the worst choice, bad choice. So I'll choose 2. I'll choose 2 and I'll start again. Let's choose 2 here. Then can I fill 1 here? Maybe. Can I fill? No, I cannot fill 1 here because 1 is already there. So maybe some other elements, and that's how it's gonna work. Okay, let's try to look at the code for this one. Okay, I'm not going to type this one faster. I'm going to type this one slow. I mean, अपन लोग काम करें, अपन slow लेंगे इसको. चलो, ठीक है. So I'm going to solve. Let's return bool whether this can be solved or not. Solve Sudoku, and it takes vector int Sudoku as input. Okay, and I know for all the Sudoku the size will be 9,9, so I don't really need to go that. So I say hash define S or R or C, whatever size, let's say size 9. Okay, chalo. Let's first, I have to find out the empty cell, right? So let's do one thing. Let's do bool is unassigned or is empty. Okay, I'm going to check this, and so vector should I do it this way or should I do it some other way? I think इससे काम हो जाना चाहिए. देखते हैं. सबसे पहले let's find an unassigned position. Okay. And int R, int C, the position which I'm looking for, and I think itne se kaam ho jayega. And let's pass them by reference. Make more understandable. Now for row is equal to 0, row is less than size, row plus plus. Column is equal to 0, column is less than size, column plus plus. Now if that grid or the Sudoku of row and column is 0, I return. You know what it's gonna do? Since I pass the row and column as a reference, it's going to change the value of row and column, right, into row and column. If is not, in fact, return true, not return false. So there is empty something. Return false. When this function return false, that means all the cells are filled. If it is empty, if it is empty, Sudoku row and column. If I find an empty cell, or if it is an empty cell, if I could not find an empty cell, that means if I cannot find any empty cell, that means my whole Sudoku is filled, right? That means my whole Sudoku is filled. In that case, what I do is I return true. I said, hey, the Sudoku is already solved. Otherwise, what I do is I already have the value of empty cell in this particular row and column. Location of empty cell, right? So I have the location of this empty cell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to fill the value from 1 to n. I is equals to 1, I is less than equals to 9, I plus plus. So I'm going to try to fill all the different values from 1 to 9, and I'm going to check whether this particular value will work or not. Question was to return a solved Sudoku. I do not want to return a solved Sudoku because I've already passed it by reference. So if somebody has given me a Sudoku, I mean a grid Sudoku, it will already be solved because I've passed it by reference. I'm going to change the actual memory. Don't worry. Okay. We have to mean. Okay. Now we have to check for all the cases whether I is equals to 1 will fill, whether I is equals to 2 will be the right one, whether I is equals to 3 or so, and so on till 9. Okay. Now, if is it safe to fill the Sudoku at position x comma y at position row comma column with this value I? Is it safe? If it is safe, then what do? You set the value Sudoku row comma column is equals to what? You set row comma column is equals to that value, and you also do a backtrack, right? Oopsie, what did I do? You also do a backtrack and say, hey, set the Sudoku to empty again, which is row and column is equals to 0. Isn't that right? Now, if you have set the value, now you have to just do a recursive step. What is that recursive step? If solve Sudoku, if call this function again, can I solve the Sudoku now? If this Sudoku is solvable, you return true. Isn't that right? Every time this function is called, it's going to find out an empty cell, correct? If it does not find any empty cell, it's going to return true. Isn't that right? You can also pull this code here. I mean, you can check this here itself. That's totally fine. If rows and column is equals to 0, you say I did not find any value, right? So I mean, you can pull this code here as well. Totally work. Okay. So you first check whether there is any cell which is empty, and if the cell is empty, it will be filled in the value row and column. Isn't that right? In fact, let's make it simple. You guys will probably understand it this way better. If this is equals to 0, what I do is I set row is equals to x, row is equals to you do a break or something, flag or something. I mean, it will make code a bit unhealthy. Should I remove it? Bool found is equals to false. If this is equals to 0, found is equals to true, and do a break. If found break. If row is equals to 0, and oh wait, I can use this function itself. If not found, you return true. That means there is no solution. Else you come inside. It's the same kind of code. I mean, you can try that. Totally fine. Either you can do this way or you can do the way I have done. Okay. So I'm just going to comment it out. I'm just going to write if not empty grid row and column return true. So it's totally up to you how you want to write this code. Now all I have to do is write this if say function. Now this if say function is going to be very interesting and tricky one. This is the heart of this problem, right? How will you check for this particular one? So let's write bool is safe, and in the is safe function you have this vector grid. Oops, address. And you have a row and you have a column, correct? I'm not going to change it, so I'm probably going to make it constant. Okay. Now, what do I have to check? Whether this or I also have to check this particular element. Int fill. This is the element which you're filling it with. Okay. So now you have to check for three particular instances. If it is used in row, if it is used in column, and if it is used in box, correct? So return, it should not be used. I'm just writing it an overview, used in row, and should not be used in column, and should not be used in box, correct? So if this particular element is not used anywhere, then I know I can use this, right? So let's pass this value, Sudoku row column fill. Sudoku row column and fill. Again, the same thing. I'm just going to copy paste it from here. Now all I have to do is just return, write these functions, and I'm good to go, correct? So let's write these functions one by one. It has the same structure, so I'm going to copy this one. Used in row. How will you check whether a particular element is used in row? You are in a particular cell, you have to check for this particular row. So let's do one thing. For int I is equals to 1 or 0 less than n I plus plus, I'm going to check the whole row. If Sudoku for this particular row, in fact, let's call it J. It's much better that way. Right? If the same value of fill is already a part of somewhere, it's not in its size, right? In that case, you say return true. It's already used, correct? So this is the code. This is the code for used in row. I'm going to copy the same thing, and I'm going to do the same thing for used in column, right? Used in column. So for column, I'm going to replace it with I is equals to 0, I is less than size, I plus plus. And this is going to be column, and this is going to be I. Simple, code done. This one I did not use column, so maybe I'll remove it. This one I did not use row, so I'll remove it. Used in row has only row and fill. Used in column has only column and fill, and this one will require both, so I'll use both. And now I have used in box. And it will contain both row and column. Okay. Constant row. Okay. So now let's figure out how can I check for a particular cell. Okay. So I have to check for 9 values. Let's say int I is equals to 0, I is less than 3, I plus plus. For int j is equals to 0, j is less than 3, j plus plus. Now comes a very interesting part. Now listen to me and bear with me for some time. Let's say you want to find out whether an element 9, for example, is there in this particular cell or not. How will you do that? What's the index of this cell. What's the index of this particular cell, guys? It's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 here as well, right? So it's actually 5, 5. Now we have to start from this cell and have to check whether this particular 9 is used or not, right? So I need index of the starting cells. In every case, I need the index of starting cell, correct? How can I convert the given index into the subsequent starting index? How can I do that? How will I do that, guys? So tell me. So you have a row and you also have column, right? So what you do is divide whatever the value you're getting. Yes, you sort of do that. So for example, what is the value of row? It is 5. What is this particular value? What is this particular value? This is 0, 1, 2, 3 and 0, 1, 2, 3. So you have to reach to 3, 3, correct? You have to use to 3, 3. So what can we do? So there is a difference of 2, correct? So what we do is let's subtract 5 minus 5% 3. If I do 5 minus 5% is 3. So basically I have to remove the difference, right? So this is the difference which I want to cover. So if I do 5 minus 5% is 3, what is the value which I'll get? It's 5 minus 2, which is equals 3. So row will come here. Same is the case with column. Column will also come here. What if it's this row? What's the value for this one? This is, I think this is 7, correct? And what's this? 0, 1, 2. So what if it's 7, 2? I have to convert it to this value, right? Which is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0. How will I do that? Again, same formula. Use row minus row percentage 3, because you just have to, subtract the difference between the this and this, right? So what's this? Row is equals to 7 minus 7% 3 is how much? 7 minus 7% 3, which is 1, is 6. Similarly, 2 minus 2% 3 is how much, guys? 2 minus 2 is equals to 0. So you get 6, 0. Is it clear? Is it clean or is it clear? Ye samajh aa gaya? So what are we gonna do is we come back here. So what we do is let's remove this constant. So what we do is we do row is equals to row minus row percentage 3. Column is equals to column minus column percentage 3. It's not the only formula which you can use. It's the formula which I just used. If you find any other formula which you are able to translate back to the original starting cell, go ahead with that. I have no problem whatsoever. Okay, so you have starting row and starting column. Now all you have to do is just check if Sudoku. In fact, I'll just copy this code from here. Okay, if Sudoku, but instead of this I'll use I plus row. Instead of this column, I'll use j plus column, correct? If this thing is equals to fill, it's already used. And if not, just return false, correct? I forgot to add return false here. And I also forgot to return false here. ठीक है, चलो जी. So इसके बाद में कोई बहुत मोटा क्वेश्चन पिक नहीं करूंगा. हम लोग बस एक क्वेश्चन डिस्कस कर सकते हैं छोटा सा. Which question should I pick? What were the questions left? Okay, हम लोग नाइट टूर डिस्कस कर सकते हैं. यूनिक पाथ 2 हम लोग यूनिक पाथ 2 तो डीपी वाला प्रॉब्लम है. ठीक है, लेट्स नॉट डिस्कस दैट. लेट्स डिस्कस द नाइट टूर. विल जस्ट डिस्कस नाइट टूर एंड विल कॉल इट अ डे. ओके, ठीक है. सो इट्स गोइंग टू बी अ स्मॉल प्रॉब्लम. अगर तुम लोगों ने कल एन क्वीन पे ध्यान दिया था तो आज का नाइट टूर ऐसे हो जाएगा. Very simple problem. Let me find the image for that. Control T. Night tour image. Oh wow. That's what I want. Copy image. ठीक है, बस ज़्यादा डिस्कस नहीं करेंगे, बस थोड़ा सा मुझे बस इसका हिंट देना है, उसके बाद ट्राई करना, नहीं होगा ना तो कल यू कैन डिस्कस विद योर टीए, एंड वो तब भी नहीं होता तो हम लोग कल इसको डिस्कस कर सकते हैं कल की क्लास में, ठीक है। कल की क्लास में अपन लोग वैसे स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं लिंक लिस्ट, ठीक है। Sudoku was also similar to NQueen. Yeah, apparently most of the problems are, right? All the backtracking problems follow the same paradigm. It follows the same approach, right? The is-safe function, for example, can be different, or maybe the recursive conditions can be different. Sometimes you move in all 4 directions, sometimes you move in 8 directions, right? Sometimes you move only in 2 directions. So those kind of things are the changes which are different or which are specific to a function, specific to a question. But other than that, nothing more. Okay. So chalo, let's start with this interesting problem. It's called night. So night is हिंदी में शायद वो घोड़ा बोलते हैं ना उसको. So अब night क्या करता है? Night is interesting. If a night is standing here, night can move in L shape. What is L? It can be like that. So this is where the night can land. ये cell, ये cell, ये सेल, यहाँ पे जो x moves y moves वाली जो एरे बनेगी उसके अंदर कितने एलिमेंट्स आएंगे? यहाँ पे जो x moves y moves वाली जो एरे बनेगी उसके अंदर 8 डिफरेंट कॉम्बिनेशंस आएंगे. तो अपने को यही चीज सॉल्व करनी है, ठीक है. अपने को यही क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करना है, और इस क्वेश्चन में मैं चाहता हूँ एक बार तुम खुद से दिमाग लगा लो, इस क्वेश्चन को खुद से सॉल्व कर लो, ठीक है. सो बेसिकली अ नाइट कैन मूव इन ऑल 8 पॉसिबल डायरेक्शंस. व्हाट यू हैव टू डू इज, दिस क्वेश्चन सेज whenever a night moves, let's say this is the step 1. Now night can move to step 2. Now night can move from this particular position to some other position, 60, let's say this particular cell 3. ऐसे करके night will move in all the possible cells, और अपने को the night has to move to all possible blocks, right? So you start with 1, you end with 64. You keep numbering the blocks. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and so on. You keep on doing that, right? अगर मैं इसकी इमेज देखूं, so yeah, I mean this is how a night can move. See, look at this diagram. So you have to keep numbering them, and this whole thing will end once night has stored every single cell. Night will be able to store every single cell. You just have to find that, and you can start with any cell and it will still result the same. Okay, so this is what we had to discuss in today's class. बाकी हम लोग कल की क्लास में डील करने वाले हैं. अगर तुम लोग को इन क्वेश्चंस में कुछ डाउट आता है तो आस्क योर टीए, एंड अगर वहां से चीजें रिजॉल्व नहीं होती है तो हम लोग उसको कल की क्लास में डिस्कस करेंगे. बट हम लोग का रिकर्जन और बैक ट्रैकिंग आज कंप्लीट होता है, ताकि कल से हम लोग लिंक लिस्ट स्टार्ट करेंगे. लिंक लिस्ट इज अ वेरी इजी कॉन्सेप्ट, आई मीन इजी टॉपिक एज कंपेयर टू ट्राइज और ट्रीज और व्हाटएवर. सो उसके क्वेश्चन जनरली लोगों से बन जाते हैं, ठीक है. सो वी विल डिस्कस दैट फ्रॉम टुमारो. तो जस्ट कंप्लीट ऑल द लीड कोड प्रॉब्लम्स जो हम लोगों ने सॉल्व की हैं. Don't make sure that you do not have any active, I mean increasing backlog of questions, right? As long as you keep on the same pace as we are in the class, obviously you'll have to put in more efforts. We'll be good to go.